It's one of the easiest ways to make money online right now, and it's something you're probably already doing for free. Because every time you use something like ChatGPT, you're interacting with AI. You ask a question, it gives you an answer, and sometimes it even asks you, was this helpful, or which answer is better? Or you can just go and rate this response with a good response button or a bad response button. But most people just click something and they just move on. But here's the thing, this feedback that you give, it is training the AI. Just remember when ChatGPT just came out, when was that period when it was just brand new? Well, this was all the things that we were doing. We were testing it out, but in the background, ChatGPT, OpenAI, they just collected all that info and they used that in order to improve ChatGPT itself. And normally we did it for free, and we're still doing that for free. Now, what platforms like Outlier do is simple. They pay you to do that same process, but in a structured way. So instead of casually using AI for fun or for information, you're rating responses, you're comparing answers, you correct some outputs, and you help improve the model. So that's the whole job. So what kind of tasks you'll be doing here on Outlier? There are a few main types of tasks on platforms like this, and the first one is the simplest. You are going to be given two answers, and then you just decide which one of those is better. That's it. This is the first here. So rate and rank answers. Very simple. The second type is a bit more involved. You might have to rewrite or improve an AI response. So if the AI gives a bad answer, your job is to fix it. And the third type, which a lot of people find more interesting, involves things like images, audio, or video. For example, you might be asked to describe an image or help train an AI to understand visual content. So it is not just typing. There's actually some variety in the work. There's these difficult ones, honestly. We're going to talk about these more complicated ones as well. Or even this challenging prompt situation, which is really interesting, by the way. And honestly, it is very, very simple to apply here. You will just have to create your profile. You will have to review your skills if you want to do these more complicated tasks. We're going to talk about that later on. And then you will, of course, have to verify your identity, verify your skills. There's going to be a little screening test, and then you're ready to work. Now, let's talk about some money, because that's what everyone wants to know. On platforms like this one, you'll typically see rates anywhere between $15 to $40 per hour. And this will depend on a few things, and that is your location, your skill level, the type of task that you're doing, and some tasks, as we've seen, are more basic, others require more knowledge, so they pay more. And this is really important. You're not guaranteed to get constant work. This is more like task-based income, not a fixed salary, all right? So some weeks you might earn more, some weeks less. Now, when you go over to the homepage, by the way, I'm not affiliating with it. You can just Google for Outlier. It is over at outlier.ai, and this is the homepage of it. You can immediately go over to see some of these opportunities here. And as you can see, there are 62 opportunities as we speak. And there are some types here. Now, as you can see, some of these are for specialists. Some of these are related to languages. So, for example, if you know to type or speak in any one of these languages, is going to be good for you. Or some coders. This is, of course, very niche. And there are some generalists tasks. One thing I like about this is that you don't need to be some high-level expert to get started. There are some general tasks that almost anyone can do, but if you do have some knowledge in a specific area, like law or math or history or science, coding as we see, well, you can qualify for some better paying opportunities. And a lot of these platforms will actually give you a study guide or some instructions before you take a test, so you can prepare and you can increase your chances of getting accepted. Also, very important, you don't just sign up and start working immediately. Usually, you have to create an account, verify your identity, and you have to complete an assessment or test. Sometimes it's very simple, sometimes it's a bit more detailed, but the idea is to make sure you can actually do the tasks properly. And honestly, if you spend a bit of time preparing, most people can pass these. So, all you have to do is to go to login section right here. You can continue with your Google account, of course. Going to be very simple. And then you will have to complete all of this until you come to an assessment test. Here you can see that, let me just increase the size of this, that the assessment test usually takes around 12 minutes. All right, so be prepared for that. I'm not going to show you the assessment test now because it is going to be different for everyone. It will depend on your resume here and your experience. But sometimes it's going to be the same test. So yeah, you can just go ahead and do it yourself. But if you go inside and just have a look at these tasks, you'll notice something interesting. There are often hundreds of available tasks and they're constantly updating, and you can filter these. So whether you're a general user or someone with some specific knowledge, there's usually something available. And if you speak multiple languages, that can be a big advantage because, as you can see within this category, for example, Chinese, Danish, Finnish, French, Hebrew, Indonesian, Italian, there's a lot of these things. And, it opens up a lot more opportunities. Now, what's really, really important is for you to be real with this. This is not going to be some kind of a get-rich-quick thing. Something like that doesn't exist. You're not going to make thousands of dollars in your first week. It's not some passive income that you can set and forget. You're essentially trading your time for money. But compared to a lot of other online jobs, this is flexible and it is remote and it is relatively simple. And for a lot of people, that's enough. Now, Outlier is not the only platform doing this. In fact, RemoteTasks is a sister website. In fact, this is the same company, and they all operate in a similar way. One interesting thing to know is that some of these platforms are actually connected, like RemoteTasks and Outlier. But for example, this one, which is Stellar AI, it's on its own. So yeah, if you're signing up, it's usually a good idea to use different emails just to avoid any issues. Also, some platforms will actually train you as you go. You start with some simple tasks, like for example, data labeling. Sometimes it's going to be like identifying some objects. And here you can see the more difficult the task is, the more you're going to get paid. When you start, by the way, you're going to be given these, and then you can progress. Now, payments are usually done through platforms like PayPal or some similar online payment systems, so you will need to have one of those set up, of course. And yeah, you have 3 options now: RemoteTasks, Outlier, and Stellar here, which is also really good. And you can see, create tasks for AI agents, expert rubrics. This is one new one. Maybe this sounds complicated, but when you go through trainings and when you get those study guides and when you get instructions, it's all going to be clear to you, right? So as you can see here, there is no previous experience needed on any one of these, except that if you have certain knowledge, you will of course have the opportunity to earn some more money. So that's about it. So to sum everything up, platforms like Outlier or RemoteTasks are part of a bigger trend. AI is growing fast, and companies need people to help them train these models. And that's where you come in. You're not building AI yourself, you're just helping improve that and getting paid for something that most people are already doing for free. So if you want something simple, remote, flexible, this is definitely worth trying. Just go in with the right intentions and right expectations. It's not passive income, it's not a shortcut, but it is a real way to make some money online. It's a side hustle, a very good one. And if you stay consistent with it, it can become a solid side income. And at the very least, you'll learn how AI actually works behind the scenes, which is becoming more valuable every day. Wish you good luck, and I'll catch you in the next one.